Hey ladies and gentlemen, Steven here from Redolessence. Welcome back to another video. So obviously when it comes to the designer house of Prada, they're very busy at work producing new fragrances year after year. Most of the time, however, they are flankers, just like this one. And of course, Luna Rossa is a fragrance that came out several years ago, inspired by the sailing team, a really nice sort of iris fragrance. And of course, Prada does iris really well because of this one perfumer that they often use, who is Daniela Andrié. Well, in this fragrance, they have different perfumers. And of course, there's a different twist to this one. I'm excited to give you my thoughts of Prada Luna Rossa Ocean, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin my fragrance review of Prada Luna Rossa Ocean and I tell you all about this fragrance, what other fragrances it smells like, if I would compare it to the original, how long it lasts, what it smells like, so on and so forth. I do want to mention that if you're new to this channel and you like fragrance related content, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. Make sure to enable notifications by clicking on the bell and give this video a thumbs up as well. It would really mean a lot to me. So the original Luna Rossa, I just remember it being a very nice, pleasant, smooth, silky, almost iris-based fragrance. And of course, when you think of iris, you think of the smell of lipstick or a cosmetic bag or something like that. And that's certainly the vibe that a lot of Prada fragrances evoke. Now, there are a lot of Prada fragrances containing that note. Prada's Infusion Dome being one of them, Prada L'Homme being another, and of course, Luna Rossa also contains a nice bit of iris. Now, in the case of this fragrance, there are two other perfumers who have worked on this fragrance, not Daniela Andrié, who does most Prada fragrances. Here we have Anfilippo and Carlos Benaim. Two super accomplished perfumers, each one with their own very impressive resume. And in this fragrance, of course, with the name like Ocean, it does kind of take this bright, fresh, oceanic twist to the original DNA. So you have clary sage, you have artemisia, bergamot, of course, in the opening, pink pepper, but then you also have some earthy ingredients in the base, including vetiver. Well, I'm here to tell you what I get from the smell, how close I think it smells to the original and which one I prefer, but let's start things off with the presentation. So just like the name would suggest, this one is very bright, fresh, and oceanic. So in the opening, you are going to get a bit of citrus, and it is a very nondescript type of a citrus note that I get in the opening. So that's why I'm not saying it's something like yuzu or grapefruit or one of these quirky citrus ingredients and kind of have their own olfactive DNA. So I'm getting bergamot, right? And bergamot kind of has a very sort of generic and nondescript smell, but still a very nice, pleasant, and refreshing smell nevertheless. So it opens up with a lot of bergamot. There's also pink pepper in the opening. I'm not getting a whole lot of that. I am getting a little bit of an earthy / aromatic presence. I don't know how much of that has to come from the artemisia versus the sage versus the vetiver. Although the sage that's in here in modern perfumes, they do use a molecule known as sclerine. H24 by Hermes has it. A ton of fragrances have it. And it's another one of these molecules. It's kind of becoming the next ambroxan. It's a molecule that they're using in a lot of fragrances if they want to make them convey like a fresh overtone. So you have the sclerine molecule, or you have the clary sage, I should say, as far as the note breakdown reveals. Then you also have the bergamot, but then you also have like this suede leather-like vibe combined with iris. Now, the iris in here, very bright, fresh, pleasant. It actually smells like Prada L'Homme more than it does Prada Luna Rossa, if that makes sense. So with this being a Luna Rossa flanker, I was kind of expecting it to have that iris component, but this one actually smells a little bit closer to Prada L'Homme in terms of the iris that's used here. Now, because of the freshness that occupies most of the fragrance, it does also kind of remind me of some other sort of office-friendly or office-safe designer fragrances out there. Like one that comes to mind is Versace Dylan Blue. Of course, people online have also compared this one to like Bleu de Chanel and perhaps YSLY or some other freshies. I don't really get those comparisons per se, although I do get the Dylan Blue comparison, and I would say that that's probably the closest one. But in terms of the fact that it does contain iris, I get a little bit of that original Prada L'Homme, but not as soapy. And so you kind of take away a little bit of that soapiness, you add a little bit of that citrusy freshness. So now here's the thing. I think this fragrance is less unique than Luna Rossa. And I know when Luna Rossa came out, obviously it was yet another expression of Iris. We of course have Dior on the market, which is a little bit more in lipstick territory. Luna Rossa, not so much. It kind of had that oceanic splendor about it. This one is even fresher, but going in a more commercial, mass marketed designer direction. And so I think that this one is going to win the favor of a lot of consumers. I think there are going to be more people who are going to feel inclined to purchase this one over the original. But personally, I find the original to be a little bit more unique. In and of itself, I don't think it's the most unique fragrance in the world, but if I were to compare the two, apples to apples, let's say, I would say that this one is probably a little less unique than the original. But I think this one amps up its friendliness in terms of being an office safe type of a fragrance. And so if that's what you're looking for something that is going to contend with fragrances like Versace Dylan Blue or Chanel's Bleu de Chanel, I would say check it out. I think in terms of comparing it to other fragrances on the market with a similar genre, I don't think it does anything new, innovative, or groundbreaking. I think it's a release from Prada that is meant to compete with some of the other fragrances on the market. And we've seen them do this once before, right? With Prada Luna Rossa Carbon, that was nearly identical to Dior Sauvage. And of course, I really enjoyed Prada Luna Rossa Black. And I will never forget the Prada Amber Pour Homme Intense Days. Those were really, really unique fragrances. And some of the more exclusive, higher tier fragrances like Marienbad are awesome. But in any case, this one, fresh, easy to get along with, citrusy, clary sage, office-friendly type of a fragrance. Not too unique, but I think a lot of people will enjoy it. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, like I said, not too unique, but the overall smell is very pleasant. I think it's one that a lot of people are gonna vibe with. Longevity on this one, 7 hours. The projection is about 2 hours. It radiated beyond the arm's length for like the first half hour of application. It didn't start to sit closer to the skin until about that 4.5 to 5 hour mark. So not the best longevity in the world, but it gives you pretty good longevity, I would say, in terms of the the concentration. In terms of the versatility, I think this one is better suited for the hotter weather. I think you can wear this one indoors as long as it's a climate controlled environment. And I think that this one is going to give you more of a casual as opposed to a formal type of a vibe. When I'm going for something formal, I want something where maybe the vetiver is a bit more pronounced, or it's a little bit more in the fougere or chypre genre as opposed to like an aquatic, which I think is what this is. So aquatic fragrances typically come across smelling rather casual for me. And of course, this is marketed for men. I think anybody of any age can wear this one. In terms of the presentation, I like the blue color on the bottle, and of course, ocean is not a difficult theme to represent in bottle or box presentation. Final verdict on this fragrance is, it's not my favorite. I think it's a solid release from Prada. I can see what they were doing here, and I think that there are going to be a lot of people who smell this, and upon initial smell, they're going to say, you know what? This is nice. I see myself buying a bottle of it. Myself personally, with all the fragrances that I have in my collection, I think that there are far more fragrances that I would personally reach for before I reach for this one, but I can see the uniqueness in it in terms of somebody who doesn't have a Versace Dylan Blue or a Chanel Bleu de Chanel or a YSL. In that case, then it might fit a certain pocket within your collection that you haven't yet fit in. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was my review of Prada's Luna Rossa Ocean. I think it's an okay release from Prada. Of course, they want to create something very bright, fresh, refreshing, something in the citrusy, aquatic territory. And ultimately, I think they were successful in doing that, just not the most unique scent on the market. If you own or have tried this fragrance, let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Also, if you are new to this channel and you took something of value from this video, please remember to support this channel by clicking the subscribe button. If you can enable notifications as well, that would really mean a lot to me. And of course, give this video a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm if you think I did a good job today. Thanks again for watching. Love you all. We'll see you soon. Bye.